Semitic magic, its origins and development by R. Campbell Thompson. Continuing Chapter 2, Part C. After long disputing, the ghost, with a terrible shake of the body and leg, fell by the toe. And there's other instances of the devil coming out of the big toe, particularly for the left foot. There's a lot more of them. The exhausted woman lay down and recovered her speech. An amulet was then written and put in a small leather bag, which was well waxed with beeswax, through which the John, the invisible, could not penetrate. Well, it doesn't work that way. Similarly, Curtius tells another story of a girl possessed by an evil spirit. The holy man commanded the spirit to come out of her. He replied, "I will come out of her head. But if you do," said the holy man, "you will destroy it." At last the spirit proposed to come out of her toe, and this was permitted. Earlier tradition shows the same thing. In the Greek papyri, there are directions for driving out a demon by pronouncing the name and applying sulfur and bitumen to the nostrils, whereat it will cry and go forth. Josephus relates how Eleazar drew out a malignant demon by holding a ring under the nose of the possessed man, under the seal of which was one of the roots recommended by Solomon. By these means, with magical incantations, he drew out the evil demon through the man's nostrils. Barnabas, in the epistle ascribed to him, speaks of the black one getting a chance of creeping into us. And in Mosul today, if a man falls into a fit or faint, he is supposed to have been struck on the head by soda, i.e., a black demon, though in this case female. In the case of epilepsy, in the same town, a sheikh comes and lays a knife on the patient's head. Then dates are brought and fumigated with incense, the magician, meanwhile, uttering various chants over them, and then, after spitting on them, gives them to the patient to eat. It's likely people don't know what it means, but it's likely some more or less sound religious teaching that's being expressed. They're just throwing some stuff in. Porphyry, being a vegetarian, says that those bad spirits, the Keres, specially delight in blood and impurities in general, and they creep into people and make use of such things. Perhaps the unlawful shedding of blood, meat offered to other than God, or not killed according to religious principles, that could be the issue, and I do understand being vegetarian if the other is not available. According to Sozomen, Arsacius was endowed by God with the power of exorcising demons. A man possessed with the demon once ran through the marketplace with a naked sword in his hand. The people fled from him, and the whole city was in confusion. Arsacius went out to meet him, and called upon him in the name of Christ, and said that the name of the demon was expelled, and the man restored to sanity. Or perhaps the man was encouraged in his Christianity by the same spirit. It's like, one thing or the other, At the tomb of Hilarion, the divine, a native of Thabatha, near Gaza, many diseases were healed and demons expelled at this tomb. There are the germinal ideas of possession in Homer, the daemon staggeros, causing a vast sickness, and daemonon refers to insanity in Aeschylus, Eupedes, Aristophanes, and Plutarch. In the Palestinian tradition, the cure for a man possessed was to take roots of herb, burn them under him, and surround him with water, whereat the spirit would flee. From these instances, the relation between devils and disease, not only madness and fits, but also fever, headache, and minor ills, are plainly very closely connected in the savage Semitic mind. maybe I should just delete the word savage when I read this, because they mean like the savage philosopher, the one who has ideas that took multiple generations to develop these particular ideas. And their treatment demands a magician or priest, of a spiritual nature, or priest, rather than a qualified doctor. Having established this proposition, the next question that presents itself is that of the taboo. An Ethiopic method. The Greek ideas of epilepsy, the iera, nasos. Okay. In the primitive communities of modern savage, in the so-called in the primitive communities, modern times, there are always certain internal restrictions, both social and religious, arising, in the broadest sense, from the fear or respect of the supernatural. Primitive, modern, it doesn't make a difference. I think we're more superstitious in other ways now. The study of this branch of folklore has grown steadily with our increasing knowledge of the customs of tribes, and it provides us with the means of elucidating much that would otherwise be inexplicable in the religion of the peoples of the Near East. Now, in this custom of taboo, there are not only the ideas of primary danger to the person who first occurs the taboo by his actions, but there's also a secondary contagious ban to anyone who may become liable for communications with the tabooed man or things belonging to him. The savage, that the person believes that a supernatural beings can and will influence, in the widest sense, over such human beings as thus incur the risk of their visitations, and that the person thus tabooed can communicate his dangerous state